and that they were targeting people in the street for practice. I saw a couple of them a couple of times. I know because one of them had a bead on me one day. And being New Zealanders, they, in their tremendous arrogance, they thought that they were invisible as they were standing on top of this building in their black on black, commando ninja outfit and the black hood over their face and their long black sniper rifle with the long black silencer. And he's pictured against a blue sky with white fluffy clouds. So I'm looking up as I'm walking down the street, and there's this guy, a New Zealand sniper, dumber than dirt, standing with a sniper rifle pointed at me. And by that time, I didn't give a damn. I said, shoot me, you'd be doing me a favor. So, again, the idea of snipers in New Zealand apparently is not that alien. So my thought is, you hire this, a good U.S. military sniper, not a New Zealander, and once a year, every 12 months, they would target a New Zealand manager, some asshole, some typical New Zealand monster, and shoot him in the head. 12 of them. From a distance, 300 yards. Our guys are real good at that. And then just leave the body in the street as a message to other horrible, moronic, vicious managers. The message, of course, is behave well, or you'll be next. Do that once a year, and you will see utopia pretty much overnight. I'd say give it 3 years just to be safe. And again, leaving bodies in the street as a message is an old mafia/CIA thing. It's the same group of guys. Leave a message that nobody can argue with. The message is behave or you're next. Yeah, I'd pretty much guarantee that within 3 years you would be living in Eden. Now, you could stop this shooting of vicious, sadistic, brutal, idiotic managers and politicians for a while, but then, just like it happened in Hollywood, you will see the old habits start up again almost immediately, at which point you will have to hire another sniper. And I'm not talking about a hitman. This is not a mob war. This is not a CIA operation to overthrow a government and put a U.S. puppet in power. This is a fundamental change in a culture. The message is behave the way you behave, the way you want your children, or you should want your children to grow up. Be the person you always hoped you would be, and you will see a change. And I'm guessing, and it's only a guess, well, it's more like a hope, that if this went on for a few generations, you might actually see everyone in New Zealand all of a sudden being like us, mutants, because only the mutants would stay. Frankly, the levels of violence in New Zealand are off the charts, and as always, Satan worship is behind it all. Just for fun, if you can think that violence is fun, look up something called the mongrel mob. It's a very large and very powerful and totally, quote-unquote, uncontrolled gang of the lowest level intelligence you've ever imagined. Kind of reminds me of the street thugs I grew up with. And they rule the people of New Zealand with fear. You never hear about them, of course. But if you watch them, and they'll actually pose on videos and brag about their gang, and you can find these on YouTube, the mongrel mob. And just watch what they do, and they are the lowest form of Satan worshippers possible. They'll actually perform, as I say, their normal gang rituals on video. They'll pose for pictures. They're that stupid. And you will see what Satan, if she exists or not, thinks of us. And these mongrel mob, they rule New Zealand. But why? New Zealand has police. They have an army. The rulers of New Zealand, whomever they might be, could wipe out these thugs in a few days. I mean, they've got a military. But the mongrel mob serves a purpose. They instill fear in the cattle. And you will see the same kind of low-level satanic worship in US-based television evangelists. But the trick here is you have to find the unedited video feeds that are not shown in the USA. You have to find the unedited video feeds that are shown in foreign countries. And you will see the same kind of mongrel mob Satan worship kind of event that so-called Christian ministers are doing on stage in public. These ministers will be led around on the stage wearing dog collars, led by a leash by a beautiful woman, crawling on all fours, and they're barking like dogs. Now, if you look hard, you can find these videos online. I could tell you what passes for violence in New Zealand, especially against animals and children. Seems that to New Zealanders, animals and children are the same thing. And it includes ritual abuse. In this particular case that I'm thinking of is brothers and sisters, as the mother and the father and the cousins look on. One little girl, and this actually made the papers in New Zealand. Normally these things never do. So figure if one made it into the newspaper, 1,000 didn't. One little girl, mercifully, thank the goddess, she finally just died in hospital. She was being tortured by her older brothers. She was left on the roof, she was hung on a clothesline, she was put in a clothes dryer and was spun like wet blankets. And those are the things that they talked about. I can't imagine what else they did to her. And as I say, finally God granted her mercy on her little soul, and she finally just died. Her brothers, her mother, her father, her cousins, all those who stood by and watched her being tormented, and she was maybe 5 years old. So I sympathize with this little child. She was tormented in ways that were all too familiar to me. And all these creatures are members of the mongrel mob. And who went to jail? The brothers. The rest of the families complained about this, and you know how they complained, how they protested in court? The family? They stood in court and they barked like dogs. This actually made the papers. As I say, most of these crimes never do. And the barking like dogs? See, the Satan worshippers were nothing but beasts, we're cattle. The Satan worshipper wants to reduce us to the lowest form we can achieve. And so the mongrel mob in New Zealand, they bark like dogs. Somehow I'm sort of glad that I was driven out of New Zealand. And so, I'm asking you, are you prepared to cull our own herds? I am. I'd rather not kill anyone. Personally, I think we should run and hide. If you're in with me on this concept, start raising cash, get over to Europe, install it. Our herds will start culling themselves. When the event occurs, but the problem is it's going to be the strong and the savage and the cruel who will win. They always do. Because the good and the kind and the caring will die. Unless they are also smart. And unless they are also hiding. Unless they're living in the real world. Hopefully, you and I are living in the real world. I hope, for all our sakes, that includes both you and me. For all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day and reminding you, please, keep a good thought. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel fighting his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.